We got a great episode today. We're talking friendship, we're talking family, we're talking fitness, we're talking faith.
Welcome to Talk My Way Out, a podcast dedicated to the pursuit of the best version of you, featuring tips and tricks, motivational stories, life hacks, and more. So keep setting goals. Pay yourself first, and always know your worth. Here is your host, Jeff Martin.
Welcome to Talk My Way Out. We got a great episode. This guy, I kind of consider my own moral compass in a way. Today, we're going to be talking family. We're going to be talking fitness. We're going to be talking faith and, friendship. Because you are a dear, dear friend of mine. And we actually rekindled our relationship this year, which is one of the greatest things that's happened to me during this whole transformational period. But why don't you tell them where you work, what you do, and then we'll get chatting.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my name is Jarrett Hucks. I am the creative arts director at Beach Church. I have known Jeff for many years at this point. And I met you because I owned a photography company, and
right.
we did some work there, and we had some connections there. And I think we met at a Christmas party.
We did.
Like in the middle, like it was like the first time I had ever hung out with you. I think the next time I hung out with you, it was like at a birthday party. You know, like
yeah, it was for, I think it was kids. Like
yeah.
It was a kids thing.
Yeah.
And it was,
and we were like, we don't know their kids, like, and so like we came, but
it was like a group community thing. Like I think it was for like underprivileged children, like where we bought like gifts.
That was the Christmas party thing.
Yeah, that was where we first met.
Yeah, like a Boys and Girls Club.
Yep,
that we
absolutely.
did. Yeah,
and we just kind of hit it off from day one, and it's weird because we've talked privately. We're very different people. You know what I mean?
Yes, we are.
We come from different spectrums, and little, like, we'll get into it a little bit more, but even a lot of this podcast is because of you. You know what I mean? Especially the video part of it.
Well, thanks, man.
And it's so many things had lined up for this podcast to come into play. It was an idea that I had, but then, I feel like there was many signs pointing me along the way that this was something I was being called to do. And you definitely had influence on that for 100%. So, why don't you start out by just talking about like, you got a great story about how you got called back to the church because you're the creative director, and I love all this audio stuff. And I remember when we reconnected, you called me over, and that place is like,
it's crazy,
$1 billion movie set. Like it's insane the amount of equipment that you have control of.
It's one of those interesting things. I've always been a part of church. I've always either taught a Sunday school class or I've played in the band or whatever. And so church has always been a very large part of my life, but I've also done other things. I know even before we met, like I went to school for graphic design. I worked in sign shops. I taught ballroom dancing. I worked at a hotel.
I see video of you dancing with your wife. I mean, you guys were like Dancing with the Stars type dancing, not like
70 pounds ago.
Yeah.
But
you're getting there, man.
Yeah, man, we're getting there. But anyway, yeah, and it's just weird how many things kind of happened, but like church was always one of those constants, and it was not a place I ever thought to like apply the hustle that I did every day, you know? But I had side hustles. I did I owned businesses. I did photography and videography, and
you're also a ridiculous musician as well. Thanks, super talented, like absolutely. I mean, you're just a man of many talents, and then you chose to funnel it into your passion. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And you'll find it's actually the term is now escaping me, but like basically there's this like scientific thought, the fact that like when you're learning things, you're not just learning those things. Like if you decided to knit, Jeff Martin is never going to be known as the world's greatest knitter unless you just really wanted to, Yeah. But the thing is that if you learn that, then you are pulling different attributes of learning that skill and applying it to the things that you already do well. Like that, I think neuroplasticity, that's what it's called. So I feel like it's just kind of one of those things, like God really like put all those different things in my life that seemingly had nothing to do with one another. Yeah. And put me in a place where now in my hometown where I have grown up without a seminary degree, everything I've done in my past now applies to a job description for this creative arts director. And so not only am I, part of the music, but I also oversee everything that happens on the stage: photo, video, marketing, social media.
And when I say it's crazy,
lighting.
like what we have in here is intense. What you have there, it literally is like almost like a network television. Like,
I mean, it really could be. I mean, and if you think about it, like Beach Church is in the old Ronnie Millsap Theater.
Mm-hmm.
It's set up for amazing sound. Like the acoustics in that building are amazing. But it is a theater with battens and curtains and everything that you would normally see if you went to a theater production of something. And so it's been retrofitted for a church. It's not something you would normally assume, no steeple, no wooden pews. There's
it's a theater.
There's numbered lettered seats, like it is a theater, and it even operates as one, when we have people want to rent it out.
Because you have big Christian bands that come through too,
Sure,
as well.
Yeah,
right?
Christian bands. We do ballet recitals and nutcrackers.
When those come in, do you have to run all the AV for that as well, or do they bring their own people in for that?
Most of the time, we provide a good bit of it, but like they bring in their own sound guys, and sometimes we have like a short list of lighting engineers and things that we work with, and because every system's different. But I've gotten to meet some really awesome people. My music director has literally traveled the world for the last 40 years, being a part of bands and stuff. He was part of like this American rock and roll, 80s band that played at the Vatican.
That's so cool.
Like it's just like he was just talking about like
stories.
how weird it is. Like there's like dignitaries walking around and stuff, like billionaires with like like they want to do this like American backyard kind of like themed parties. Like we're in the Vatican and they're eating hot dogs off a plate
Like a
for
4th of
plate
July
with like
party.
a $400,000 necklace on his wife's neck. It's like the craziest thing ever. But yeah, man, like we've got amazing people. Even this past year, I met Duncan, who is one of the lighting engineers that we work with, and he's Disney, and he works.
That's crazy.
For Disney doing lights and so we got to, I don't know, there's a lot of cool experiences that get brought together.
And then even since we've reconnected and stuff, I've done some stuff for the children's
you
thing
did
with
some
the
voiceover stuff
because you guys did the Survivor. So previously on Survivor,
absolutely, yeah. Tribal Wars was crazy, man.
Yeah.
We wrote this thought process behind like this dystopian Mad Max kind of futuresque,
It was so cool. I mean, and it was such
fun,
a fun
man.
project reading it. And it's crazy because people only ever see like, when I'm doing like, Fox or doing Walking Dead or something like that. I voice a ton of stuff for churches like all over the world, like South Africa, like, I do a lot of the Sunday announcements and everything like that. And it was weird because like the whole thing, we were very good friends for a very long time.
Sure.
And then just like anybody, we kind of, not a real falling out. We just kind of drifted apart and like, we were really close and then we weren't, and that's just like part of adult life. It happens. And, it was so weird with everything, the timing of the podcast and everything that was coming on. And then it was all around the time my father was passing away. And like I said, with this whole episode, this is really talking about friendship and like faith. And like, I'm not telling you what you should believe in, but I'm telling you what I believe in. I'm telling, Jarrett, obviously has his beliefs. And, this is just a really cool story how all this has happened. And, and I think, this past year and all the things I've gone through, I think I've become more spiritual, than I have been. I grew up Catholic, and that was very regimented, upstate New York, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Old churches.
Yeah.
Very set in their
different.
ways.
Very separating kind of culture. Like it is a thing. Like it's, yeah.
And I was a prankster. They didn't like that. I remember one time a cardinal came to speak.
No.
One time a cardinal came to speak, and I snuck in a whoopee cushion, and
awesome.
Literally, it was like on the 4th day he said, and yeah. So the nun made me kneel on uncooked macaroni for 10 minutes. So yeah, that was my religious upbringing. But I went all the way through, got confirmation, and first communion, did that whole thing, and then I fell away from the church for a very long time, and I would go in spurts, I did the Catholic holidays, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then it
Christmas
wasn't that,
and Easter.
Yeah, it wasn't like I lost belief. It was just, I believe there's something, for sure. It was just, it wasn't part of my day to day. And then it was crazy putting this whole thing together with, I had the idea of the podcast and I felt called to help other people, because so many people were reaching out to me. And it was right around the time my father passed away. And
we haven't spoken in years at this point.
Yeah,
maybe
at least 3 or 4.
Yeah, 3 or 4.
3 or 4 years. And it had popped in my head that I needed to speak to you, because I was like, Jared would know if I wanted to do the full video thing, because I have no idea. I'm masterful in audio, but like you're me in video and everything else, photography and everything. So my dad passed away, and I don't really do any cheat meals or anything. And I had this running joke, because I used to bring my dad to all his cancer treatments and everything. So I would buy something for my father, and then when he would be like, he would always try to pay me, always like pull his wallet out with the rubber band on it, and he'd be like, how much was it? And I'd be like, oh, they said it was free for Jake. It was like,
free for Jake.
They know you. So that was the term, and it was an ongoing joke. So I took him to Subway the one time, and it was so funny because I asked the guy to write on there, because they write what the sub is. I said, will you put free for Jake on there? So I got in the car, and this was probably 2 months before he passed away, and got in the car, and he's like, how much was it? He's like, I'll pay you back. And I was like, look, and he pulled it out and it said free for Jake, and he laughed like there was no tomorrow. And I know it's a long story, but it kind of plays into this whole thing of how we reconnected. Like that sub, free for Jake, is how we reconnected. So I got my hair cut. It was probably a week after my dad passed away, and I was just stressed out, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna have a cheat day, and like I am strict with my diet. If I'm gonna have one, I'm stressed out.
Sure, yeah.
So I figured, I was like, you know what, I'll go to the place where I got subs for Dad, and it's a little deli by my house.
Yeah.
And I went there, and a friend of mine knew the free for Jake story, so had a little medallion made that was on my keychain. So I ordered the sub. I went in there, I put it on the counter, I looked down, and I was looking at the free for Jake thing, and then I went to pay for the sub, and they're like, oh, it's free today. And I was like, I was stunned. Like, I was just literally floored. And your church was there that day, like, buying everyone lunch. Like, is that something you guys do all the time?
No, it's actually if we back up just a little bit and kind of tell that side of the story.
Yeah.
A lot of people look at big churches, and I'm not here to just harp or soapbox on church and stuff. Either,
we're telling our story.
Sure.
You know what I mean? How you take it is how you take it.
But we didn't want anyone, because like so many people were hurting, financially.
For COVID, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's where we were. This was 2020. What time of the year was this?
That was going into September.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But we had decided in March or April that we were going to. It was in August.
Yeah. It was
because
in August.
it was on the way to fall kickoff.
Yep.
But we decided that through the entire year of 2020 that we were going to give 10% of everything that came in, and so every dollar that was brought into the church in offering in your tithe, we were going to tithe back in.
Yeah.
So we spent, if I'm not mistaken, like $110,000.
Wow.
And actually no, because we did some stuff around Christmas, so it probably closer to like $140,000 in buying meals, paying off power bills, paying off, paying rent for people, helping them in any possible way that we could to help them through things. We were helping it at like food distributions where people were camping out overnight because they had no food for their family.
Yeah, it got hairy there.
Dude,
yeah.
it was bad.
There were shortages.
But, and we were trying to find new ways to help people. We had that kind of we were partnered with several people. At that point, there was really nothing else we could provide. Mm-hmm. Like there was no money that was going to bring in more food for us to give, because the food banks and stuff that we were working with literally were like, but we had gotten that like to a well-oiled machine, but like, what else can we do to just show people that we love them? And so we had people literally go and stand in restaurants from open to close for, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks prior to our fall kickoff, which is like our big fall celebration thing that we do at the church. And and they were just paying for meals. And
that was the thing that struck me.
Completely
it wasn't
random.
It was completely random. They didn't ask me if I needed help. And like, it was just a kind gesture. And I was like so down at that point in time, but it was literally, I was remembering the sub story, looked down at my keychain, saw the free for Jake. I'll put a picture of it up so you guys can see the keychain. I'll throw a picture up. And then literally they're like, no charge, you got it. And I was like, excuse me? And then they're like, a beach church has it. And like, there was a older gentleman and another lady that was just standing there, and they were literally just, anybody who came up, they were buying their lunches. And like I said, I didn't need them to, I mean, I'm financially stable. Sure. I didn't need them to, but it was just that thing.
It spoke more to you in that moment than any amount of money could have.
I went out in my truck, and I'm not going to do it now because I've been soft on a lot of things. I cried harder. Like, for me at that point in time, God never felt more real. Like that was my dad.
And at that point, like, I'm just curious, like, did you know I worked at Beach Church at that point?
So it gets worse, man. I'll reel it back. I got home, and I got back in the truck, and I called my mom, and I was like, oh my God. And then she started crying. And then like I got home, and I was just like, because it was a hard cry, Sure. And then so I was like, I'm gonna eat this sub, this 6-incher. I'm gonna treat myself. Dad obviously wanted me to have it. And then I pulled the thing out, and there was a card in there from Beach Church that said, "See you on Sunday." And I was like, And then I just felt compelled to reach out to you.
Well, what was interesting, and it was, from my perspective, like what I ended up seeing was all that's going on with you, and you're here, and you're just a stone's throw away from Beach Church.
Yeah.
And I'm working late
I could walk
night.
there.
Yeah. And I'm working late that night trying to put together this live streaming system for our kids' services so that we could provide Sunday school even if you're at home.
I didn't know you worked at Beach Church.
Yeah.
As far as I knew, you went off and you were doing your own thing because you used to work in real estate with a friend of mine.
Sure.
And like I didn't know where you went after that. And then so I remember texting you, and I was like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this podcast, and also something crazy happened to me today. Because to me, I mean, you're my most religious friend. You know what I mean? And there's many times I've called you and be like, hey, I need your guidance because I respect you in that manner.
Sure.
And so like I said, the craziest thing happened to me today, hit me up when you can. And then you just called me.
Yeah.
And you were at the church that day, and you're like, he's like, you were blown away.
Yeah, I was like, hey, do you want to just come by here? I'll show you the stuff I'm working on.
And that's the first time we spoke on the phone in probably 3 years. Oh, maybe almost 4.
And then you showed up at the church, and I was like, where's the other 2/3 of you?
Well, because you were...
Because I hadn't seen you in forever.
Because you were like...
hundreds of pounds ago.
You're like, I work at Beach. I was like, are you kidding me? And then we were just like, oh my God. And he's like, well, I'm here now. You want to come over? And I was like, yes, I do. Like, I just... Yeah. And to me, that's not something I would have done. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But... that series of events was so powerful to me. Like that had to have been my dad. That had to have been a godly experience for me, for all those things to line up like that. And then it just happened. And literally this podcast is kind of came out of that whole thing as well. And
yeah, man,
so that I went with you, we kind of like hashed things out. Like, we weren't bad blood. We just kind of fell apart. And then, and then I went to church on Sunday because it said "see you on Sunday." Yeah. I figured, I was like, I better be there on Sunday. So,
yeah, man, and I'm thankful to get to see you on Sundays and stuff. And
dude, I come alone. You know what I mean? Yeah, like
absolutely, man.
I've seen some friends that are there, and I've sat with some people when I've been there, but I went weeks and weeks and weeks by myself.
Yeah,
and I just felt better, man, because the whole thing with my dad, that was just a hit, man. After like I had a really tough 2 years, and then you tack that on the end of it,
Sure, yeah, man.
And I just felt lost, so.
You mentioned something earlier that I kind of want to bring up, and, I'm not some great theologian. I don't have a master's in divinity or a PhD.
But your position is actually like a pastoral position.
Oh, sure,
too,
yeah.
Right?
I'm not ordained at this point in time, but I counsel people. I pastor people. I do the best I can to show the love of God to everybody I can, mm-hmm. Especially those that are working inside of the ministries that I'm in charge of. Yep. But you mentioned something about like Catholicism, and that it became this like routine, and like you just went at a certain point to kind of like make yourself feel better, like okay, well, I went to church, so like
that was the thing, is like I felt like I had to go.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like I felt drawn to it, and maybe, I mean, it might be different for other Catholics, you know what I mean? But for me personally,
and I don't think that's necessarily Catholicism all the way around.
For me personally, I just felt it was a duty more than, you know what I mean?
And I'm not even saying that it's just them. It happens in the Protestant church as well. I mean, I'm sure there are people that go to the church that I work at that just go because they feel like they're supposed to.
Or guilt, or yeah.
Exactly. And it becomes this thing very much so like in fitness, or whatever else. Like you could have eaten better or whatever else, or you could have just gotten a Planet Fitness membership and gone and sat on a bike for 45 minutes and said, I went to the gym today.
Yeah, I did it.
But like what good would that have done you?
Mm-hmm.
Like, did you go because you thought you were supposed to go to the gym, or did you go because you wanted to make yourself feel better? Did you go because you wanted to change the way you felt physically?
Yeah.
You wanted to make yourself strong. You wanted to make yourself, you know what I'm saying? And I think that's a lot of things, like what I had to kind of change my mind on when it came to church. Like, because I mean, though I've been in church my entire life, that's even harder, because it's just like, okay, well, I go because my parents go, and if I stop going, they'd be mad at me.
You're expected, yeah.
Exactly. But like, I realized at some point that was like, well, no, I have to go because I want to strengthen that relationship with God in my life, and seeing, honestly, like it's kind of an inspiration to me with the way you did the gym, because like I'm one of those guys that had the Planet Fitness membership, and I'd go 9 months without going, and then I'd be like, okay, well, like, I made myself feel better. I can take that off the back burner because I'm not even, because I went to the gym today.
Yeah.
And I listened to an audiobook and walked on a treadmill for 30 minutes. Like that's not going to the gym.
It's just like, you can listen to the trainer and he can tell you what to do, but if you don't actually do the work, you don't become better.
Absolutely.
With me, I showed up, but I didn't participate.
Yeah.
I feel like for the most part, I did have great, like, we did some, like the weekend getaways and stuff when I was in church school and stuff like that. And those were just great experiences. I've had fun with my friends. But again, I was the prankster, always getting in trouble and stuff. So like, I did take things away from it, but it was also me having fun with my friends too, so. But
I mean, and I don't think any of those are bad experiences. But like, for me, it's like almost everything in your life. Like, okay, I am married and I have a kid, but like,
it's crazy to me.
It is, dude. Cause like
how old's your daughter now?
She's 2.5.
See,
she'll be 3 in June.
Cause Elisa's 27. Like, to me, I'm like, oh my God. But you're such a good dude. Like, you're a great dad. You're a great husband. You're a great.
Thanks, man.
Everybody has their own faults. You know what I mean? Even someone who follows the path that you follow.
Sure.
I mean, you still struggle.
Oh, yeah.
No one's perfect. And like, even when I say like, you're my moral compass, I'll talk to you and I'll say the F word and I'll say that because this is who I am.
Sure.
And you never judge me by it.
No.
I'm sure you'd prefer I didn't, but like, you never like, dude, you shouldn't be like, you take me for who I am. And then you accept it when I change on my own, which
Absolutely.
is amazing.
I mean, and that's another one of those kind of things, man. It's like, if all I ever did was tell you why you shouldn't do something, or that you shouldn't do something, the only thing that's ever going to change is you doing it around me.
Yep.
Like, and that's that mindset that's got to change. I mean, like, the same, you know what? I'll go into this because you going to the gym, you were like, hey man, I'm in church. I'm going to church, man. Now you got to go to the gym.
I did.
And
say
like,
that to you.
and you pushed me, and you did. And after meeting Kurt, and getting in that and getting motivated, like I started in January.
Yep.
And, I'm still at ISI, and,
which I'm proud of you. I mean, like, ISI is hard.
yes.
And especially going
yes,
from,
it is.
because you were legit a good athlete, like
Yeah,
when you were a
I was
dancer
an
and everything.
athlete,
I
yeah.
mean, dancers are some of the most fit people in the world, and you did it a lot.
Yeah.
You got to give me some of that footage so we can put it up here and let you see.
I'll find something.
And but like, so you have been there, what I mean, and then for you to commit to it and stick to it, and you're still stuck to it, what I mean. I'm proud of you.
The thing that gets me is that like when I screw up or I don't show up, or I didn't follow my nutrition regimen the way I'm supposed to, or whatever else, and I get these texts from Kurt,
Yeah.
I don't feel the need to lie to him and tell him I completely screwed up.
Yep.
Now, there might be days where I like forgot to respond to him because I'm busy with something else or whatever else, but like he never comes back like, dude, you suck.
No,
he never berated me for any of those kind of things. But through that, he's showing me more motivation, and I'm realizing that like there's a lot of that kind of thought process. Like it's about being active and being in it, and being in it when you're there. Like it's I don't want to go through the motions with anything in my life, because if I'm just going through the motions, I'm just biological matter waiting to decompose. Like that's like if you're just in it, and not being a part of anything, like that's not, like the parade's still going by, man. Like,
Right.
do you want to be on the sidewalk or do you want to be on the float?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Like, and I'm not saying that like you're being on the float to be admired or whatever else. Like, I mean, like whatever your motivation is. But my point is that like there are those that just watch the things happen, and those that are making the thing happen. And man, I just want to be one of those people that's making things happen. And that doesn't mean that I have to be this important person that's getting everyone's attention, or that I need to be some Nashville level songwriter that's got people singing his songs in church every Sunday, or
Right.
or be some great communicator with a book and a movie deal. Like I don't need any of those things. What I really just want to be is whatever level it is that God has for me to be on, I want to be active in that right now.
Yep.
I don't want to be thinking about whatever's coming or whatever I wish I could have, or,
One of the coolest things with you is, even when we were discussing fitness, like one of the things that hit me, and it was like, wow, when you're like, I want to be fit to have a healthy life. And you're like, I don't want to be you. You know what I mean? And you didn't mean it in a judgy manner.
No.
You're like, I don't want to become, let's see how far I can take this thing, guy. I want to be comfortable. I want to be here for my wife and my daughter and my family.
Absolutely.
And you want to be comfortable with, and you realize, hey, to do those things, I'm going to have to put in the work, but you're not going to try to, be the Rock. You know what I mean? And I thought that's a brave thing, because, old me, I would be like, quit being a wuss, man. Let's put in the time. Let's do this, like real alpha bro thing.
Sure.
And I'm like, I get it now, because like, I'm not even sure where I want to go totally yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're just two different people. You know what I mean? And like, for you to be able to just recognize that and like not try to like you had no qualms of trying to fit in with me and like the lifting bro thing. You're like, I'm not gonna be you, man. Like, and I don't
want to eat broccoli and chicken every day.
But the thing is, that level of confidence to me is more than some dude out lifting me in the gym. You know what I mean? Because
Fair.
and for you, I think like you have a thing in your idea in your head, what's attainable.
Sure.
And you want to get there.
Yeah.
So you have goals. It's just like, you're not trying to blow it out of the water like, I am. And I just run on that. You know what I mean? That's my inspiration,
I would say one of the things that you and I have in common more than almost anything else, and that's not just like a great taste in comedies, because you have that too. By the way, I don't even think I've told you this. Like, the business line on your contact in my phone is Prestige Worldwide.
Prestige Worldwide, greatest film ever.
Yeah. When I shared your contact with someone the other day, and I was like, that's not the name of his company. He's like, I get the reference.
Although I would like to.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
But like the thing that I feel like we have in common more than almost anything else is the fact that when we get like a new and shiny thing, like when we like we go after that, man. And I'm like, you join Facebook groups and you start subscribing to YouTube channels and you're reading through blog posts and you're learning as much as you can about that thing. And you become this, like, I wouldn't say an expert, but like Adam Savage called it.
You're like, I know this now.
Yeah, is like adequate plus one.
Yeah.
Like okay, like if you want to be a juggler, okay, so you got 3. All right, now I can juggle 4 balls. Cool.
Next.
Done with that thing.
Yeah.
On to the next thing.
Yep.
And I don't want my fitness to be one of those things.
Right.
I've turned every hobby I've ever had into almost every hobby I've ever had into a job. Like that's what I do for a living.
And
that's
I've
why
done
my
that
wife
too, to a fault.
Sure, absolutely. My wife has a hard time like wrapping her head around that sometimes. Just like, why do you want to go to work? It's like, because that's what I like doing. Like,
because that's
it's
my
photo and video and
I'm
music and
I'm
writing and like those are fun things to be.
I'm with you too. It's
Yeah.
like, hey, if it's a hobby that I can get paid for, why not?
Absolutely. And it's just I like the fitness side of things is not a hobby. It's not something I necessarily want to be good at. It's just so I fit in my pants better.
Yep.
That's really what I want more than anything. I want to be obsessive. I want to be passionate about other things in my life. I'm goal oriented in the things that I want to be chasing the way you're chasing that 14% body fat,
right.
or Kurt's chasing that pro card. I have that in my life. It's just not in.
Yeah, because you're a very driven individual. Like,
yeah, I mean,
and the thing that I love about our friendship is it's like a magnet, man. Like we have some things that are polar opposites, 100%.
Sure.
Even personality wise, you know, there's things, but there's this core of the good dude that we just mesh, you know, like you know, because I might be edgier than you, but you know I have a heart as big as you do.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
absolutely.
Like we're just, and that's why I value our friendship so much. And there's many times I'll call you and be like, dude, I got this moral dilemma, and you've never, you know, and I've dropped some heavy stuff on you, and you've never hit me back in any judgmental way, even when I was the jerk. You know what I mean? Like you're just like, hey man, you might want to, you know, just like the thing, like a normal guy would be like, I don't want to be you. Like, I mean, what do you mean? What's wrong with me? You know, I never took it that way. I took it as you had massive confidence to be able to say that to me, you know, and that's admirable. You know what I mean? So, you know, I had a lady, you know, hit me up too. And she's like, you know, I love David Goggins.
Sure.
And she's like, she goes, not all of us can be David Goggins, Jeff. And I'm like, you're right. You know, but then in my mind, David Goggins wasn't David Goggins. You know what I mean? So everyone I think has the potential, but you want it or you don't. And that's fine.
Yeah.
You know, and like I said, like as your friend, I want you to be as healthy as possible. You know what I mean? Do you have to be ripped to do that? No. You're already seeing benefits already because you have severe asthma.
Yeah, I've got asthma and I've you know, sleep apnea and I mean even, you know, like almost everybody else in the world, you know, struggles with depression and anxiety and I mean, to be completely honest, man, I remember like 2018 my wife is in the hospital after giving birth to my daughter, and I went down the hall, used the public bathroom, and thought I was having a heart attack. Like
just the anxiety
and I had my first panic attack, and then it was getting to the point like where I was having them like every day or every other day.
I ran into that same thing with Elisa. Like, you know, we were young. I mean, her mom was 17, I was 18. And it was like, we're having a baby. We're having a baby. It's so much fun. And then like the day she was born, I was there. And I remember I went back to the apartment by myself and I had a breakdown, man, because like it hit you like that. You're like, I'm responsible for someone's life now.
Yeah.
You know, and that's heavy.
There's a certain amount of things that like, I wish I could do over, you know, I mean, like the fact that like I couldn't hold my daughter for more than a couple minutes at a time because I got too anxious and I couldn't hold her.
Like, you know? Fear you were going to drop her? Or
I don't know. Like it's hard to explain. And I think that's why I know that it's irrational is that like, it wasn't that I thought I was going to drop her. It's not that I thought I was going to hurt her. It was, I just couldn't
emotionally. Like
I couldn't put it all together, man.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, man, like, and again, you know, like I told you before, like I'm not here to preach, but like my life verse, you know, the verse that I feel I connect with more than any other verse in the Bible is Ecclesiastes 3:11. It says, "He makes everything beautiful in its time." In fact, you'll know Ecclesiastes 3 whether you know it or not. You've seen Footloose, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the one he quotes.
Oh, really?
There's a time to mourn and there's a time to dance. That's in that's in chapter 3. He also says like there's a time to be close and a time to separate, and I think that's kind of funny in 2020, 2021.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a time to be 6 feet apart. But 3:11 it says he makes everything beautiful in its time, and though God has set eternity in our hearts, no man can know what God's plan is from beginning to end. And the way I've always taken that is like, man, I know I'm a little more talkative than maybe some of your other.
No, I've been
blessed and cursed with the gift of gab.
Well, we've talked about this. I said at some point because people don't know you're actually part of the show.
Sure,
like,
yeah.
Many times you're actually running the show behind
Absolutely.
here because you know I trust you, and then you know we got Tyler here now, and you taught him. So like we got a crew of people here. It's not just like what do you call it? So you're actually right behind me 90% of the time.
Yeah, usually.
And we were joking when we were talking about this episode. I was like, man, you know what? I want to get you on because. Like I said, you know, we hit, you know, the mental part with Adrian, you know, nutrition, you know, fitness with Kurt. And to me, faith or spirituality, whatever, how you express it, I think it's part of it, man. It's
Absolutely.
a big part of it, like what I'm learning. And, you know, our story was unique and the whole thing, how we reconnected and all that stuff. It just, to me, since I've gone back, I'm better. You know, like I've been able to let go a lot of like bitterness and, you know, my separation was not good, you know, and I held on to a lot of stuff. And it's the more I go to church, the more I hear things that relate to me. And, you know, to me, I was always into like motivational speaking and stuff like that. I listened to motivators and I listened to things a lot of entrepreneurs do. And what I didn't realize once I went back to church, especially Beach Church, I love the format of it. It feels like I'm listening to motivational stuff, but it touches me deeper, you know? And I feel like I'm becoming a better person overall. You know, I was crazy, wild nightclub DJ guy. Yeah. I was the DJ of Sin Night, you know what I mean? Like hey, you know what I mean? Yeah. And like, you know, I've done wild things in my past. I've done things, but I feel like I'm the closest version of me that I've ever been. You know, like I feel like on the outside, I look like how I always felt on the inside. And I feel like, you know, mentally, like learning about the Asperger's thing, like now I have a reason why, why I feel things. And then reconnecting, and literally I felt like I was pushed by my father to go back, you know, because he knew I was hurting. You know, he's like, I can't be here for you here, you know, and like, literally here's, you know, you even said it when I called you and I was like, did you know I work here?
Yeah. And,
no.
and it's one of those things, like you said, like all those things led to where you are now. Yeah. Like even the impact that's being made in your life right now wouldn't have felt as, it wouldn't have as much gravity. Yeah. If all those things hadn't existed, and all those people, all those things that you did made you who you are. Because
it's not, everybody's like, oh, you're so different. And I'm like, it's not this. You know what I mean? Like this taught me discipline. This taught me, you know, like I did a post the other day about it, and I was like, I had a stain on my shirt, and I took my shirt off and I washed it, and then I was doing my emails, and then I had made my bed. I'm like, who is this guy? Like, who makes his bed every day? Like, bachelor guy. And then like I did some other stuff, and then like I realized I was walking around the house for an hour with my shirt off, and I'm not, and I didn't mean that in like a vain thing.
Just feeling yourself.
I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with who I am. You know what I mean? Awesome. And it wasn't like, oh, look at my abs, I'm going to walk around the house. No one was here. You know, it was me and the dog. Sure. You know what I mean? Like, so like, yeah, it was amazing to me, like an aha moment, and be like, dude, you're comfortable with who you are, you know, and that's inside and out, you know what I mean? And yeah. I got room to grow. Everyone does.
And that's the thing, man. Like, the conclusion that I came to for myself, and it's like you said, it's not just one thing, you know, like, getting on your knees and saying a prayer, you know, or whatever else doesn't fix every problem in your life. But what it does is that it focuses everything in your life. Yeah. You know, and the thing for me, everything is made beautiful in its time. I always come back to, I remember when I was a kid, I love art. You know, I'm a big fan of going to museums. Yeah. I love looking at.
You're just creative overall.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You know, and I remember going to DC and going to the Smithsonian Art Museum.
Love that place.
And they had a Monet exhibit. And I remember you walked in, and it was like a velvet rope up against the wall, and you walked close to the painting within, you know, maybe like me to the TV, you know, like 3 or 4 feet. Mm-hmm. And I could see the painting, and I remember like being so, like this anticipation, like wanting to see the painting, and I get up there and I'm just so disappointed. Like it looked gross. It looked out of focus and sloppy and just globs of mess everywhere. It just didn't make any sense. But then when I got out of the line, disappointed, and I remember walking out into this like reception area where there were like benches and stuff where you could sit and you could sketch, or you could sit and, you know, think it through.
Right.
I could see the painting from a distance, and it was gorgeous.
So it wasn't meant to be.
But the thing is that like I feel like so many times in our lives, whether you're, you know, you want to think about this from a spiritual standpoint, or you want to think about this from a complete secular standpoint, so many times in our lives we're surrounded by the mess. We're surrounded by the shadows and the stuff. We're so distracted by the brushstrokes,
the noise,
that we don't see the masterpiece. You know, like there's this tapestry being, you know, knit together in our lives, and I feel like everything that I would, if I stop to think about it and regret, I don't regret those things. And the reason why is because all those things brought me to where I am right now. And
exactly.
And that relationship I have with God, and the relationship I have with my family, and the ability to be the father that I am and the leader that I am. Like every single thing, just like in my professional life, the things in my personal life, the things that have gone, I mean, because not only have you gone through some stuff with me, but I've gone through some stuff with you too. Like we've been through the weeds together, bro. And the thing is that like all those things might have sucked in the moment. It might be hard if you were to list it out on paper to be like, you sure this story has a good ending? Like, but the thing is that it all comes together and no matter how dark the shadows are, no matter how rough or out of focus it seems in the moment, that tapestry is still being embroidered, that masterpiece is still being painted. I'm thankful that even though I can't see it today, I know I'm faithful to know that it's there.
It really is true, man. Like there's a lot of things, even for me to sit across the table from you right now, there's a bunch of miraculous things that had to align to make that happen.
Dude, never thought it would happen.
Even though that we're close.
Sure.
We probably wouldn't even reconnected. We probably would have at some point. I'm not going to say we wouldn't have, but not to the level we have, and to me, like I said, I've had moments in my life where I've stopped and I'm like, huh, you know what I mean? Like that's weird, or like, huh, you know what I mean? And then, but that moment, that day when I was literally staring at the Free for Jake thing and I was thinking about him laughing, like a belly laugh, man. Like my dad had the best laugh when he was a very reserved old Marine, Korean War vet. But when he laughed, man, you hit it. And he laughed so hard when he pulled that sub out of that thing. And like, I looked down at that and then I pulled my card out and they're like, no, it's free for you today. And they literally said free for you today. And I was like, huh? And then they pointed to the people and they're like, oh, Beach Shirts has it.
That's awesome. And
then, like I said, I went home and I pulled it out. And as soon as I did, it said, see you on Sunday. And then I called you that afternoon just because I was so, hey, you're my most religious friend. I was like, I had a godlike experience. Let me call my most religious friend out of nowhere. And, I didn't even hit you with that. I was like, hey, I'm thinking about doing a video podcast. I need your input. And then you called me. And like all this happened since then. And and you're right. I think the things that we weather is to see where we're going to fall. And then how you get up, when my marriage destroyed, I could have went two ways, man. I could have ate myself to death because I was there. Sure. Or I could have turned it around and like, I didn't do any of this as like, I got you. I did this to find me, and now I want to help people. You know what I mean? That's what all this is about. It's about helping people. It's not look at me. It's not like, that's why I try to bring in diverse people and be honest and like, share our friendship. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
Because some people be like, what's Jarrett have to do with fitness? You know what I mean? Like, sure. A, he's on his fitness journey. A, he's helped me spiritually. He's my sounding board. And, it's just a unique, and I think people need to have people like you. You know what I mean? And
I've got people in my life that I have to lean on in that way.
You've talked to me, like
sure. Absolutely.
You've come to me, yeah.
And it's you gotta have people in your life that keep you accountable. You gotta have people in your life that you align with on a fundamental level, whether that's spiritually or morally. That I can say when, hey, I've got this thought process and I need to know, and now through your experience and everything, I'm getting something back, and it's not just what I want to hear. Yeah, and I don't know, man. I think it can.
There's a lot more. It can go the other way too, though. Like, sure. If you're hanging around with the wrong people.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm reading this cool book. It's called Atomic Habits and stuff, and they did all these researches, and it was like if one spouse lost weight, 38% of the time the other spouse lost weight just symbiotically. Without even like thinking about it, they lost weight, like a substantial amount of weight if that one person did. And, but the same thing, if you're around people with bad habits, we're creatures of habit. Like we want to fit in, what I mean? And it's like, so if you surround yourself with good people, like absolutely my friendship with you, you make me a better man. Absolutely. Like, cause you're one of the people in my life that I can go to and be honest and raw with, you know what I mean? And I think that is so important to have, but at the same time, you can surround yourself with people that can pull you down too. You know?
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know, for me, man, like I know I out of everyone you've had on here, I can deadlift the least. But man, like fitness for me was a new journey, really, because I mean, even when I was dancing and stuff, man, it wasn't ever like I wanted to be a great athlete. I just happened to be on my feet.
And you were fitness by proxy.
Yeah, you know, the whole day. You know what I mean? And I ate like crap, and I was next door to a Subway, and we buy one drink between three of us because we were all broke.
Yeah.
And we would just use the free refills all day until the manager told us we couldn't anymore. And like, so we just drank ourselves silly in soda every day. But we were on our feet, so it didn't matter. You know, but now like you know, it's funny that you bring up the like losing weight and stuff like with spouses. I've seen a piece of that with us. Now my wife has PCOS, and so her diet had to drastically change.
Right.
And I gotta say, like I would have been that other 62% of people. Like I was like, oh man,
you can't have that too bad, man.
Sucks. I guess I'm eating in the car. You know, but man, like I don't know when I it's just cool, man. Like I can feel like even when I decided like, man, I'm not in a good place for myself, so therefore I can't be in a good place for my wife and for my daughter.
Yep.
I started to make change, and when that happened, I wasn't being forced into diet by her. I wasn't being forced into anything, but now we're on the same page, and it was like all those things that were already good got even better because we were on the same page.
Yep.
Because she knew that she couldn't force me to do it, because if she forced me to do it, then it would eventually just kind of fall apart because I wouldn't be doing it for the right reasons. And man, I don't know. I'm just really.
That's hard a lot of times with couples. Like when I had Chris Woolley on here in the beginning, I told him, I was like, I loved you. I saw you getting bigger, and I didn't say anything because I cared so much about you. You know what I mean? And it takes a strong person to like hear it, be like, hey man, you're letting yourself go, and be like, yeah, I am. You know, like you know, and you know, and then another time I said it is partially selfish when you do have other people that care about you. Like you know what I mean? Like when you can make the emotional connection to it as well, then you're like, you know, you're willing to pay yourself first then because you're paying yourself so you'll be there for them, you know? Yeah. And I think you're there, man. You're putting in the work. You did Zeus yesterday. That was fun.
Dude, brutal. I woke up this morning, I was like, I don't think anything's going to move.
Before we started, I was like, I'm so sorry. And you're like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, dude.
So, see, you don't want to be me, but you feel like me.
Yeah, dude. I got to, man.
And I'm a lot older than you.
Dude, that like 50 push-ups, sit-ups, thrusters, burpees.
You're doing
bear,
it, man.
Well, like 50 yards on the bear walk, like all that stuff, dude. It was just a nightmare.
I asked you that when you came in. I was like, "What you do?" When you looked in there, and you're like, you know, it was like even me being pretty fit, like I'm like that beats me down, man.
Yeah.
But
I learned my lesson. I'm going to be looking at the calendar more clearly.
Well, you're doing great, man. I thank you so much for everything. You know, the support and you know. The spiritual journey. I mean, one Sunday you caught me because I wasn't there. Like I was on the Hulk Trail, and you're like, "Hey man, where you sitting?" Like it's not even judgmental. It's like, "Hey, you need to be at church." You're like, "Hey man, where you at? I'm gonna come sit with you." And I'm like, "I'm not there." You know. So you're my Kurt, my spiritual Kurt.
There we go. Yeah, I'll be your spiritual Kurt.
But I can't thank you enough, man. Like you're truly, from the bottom of my heart, one of my dearest people, and I would do anything in the world for you. And you know, you helped me with all this. So if you guys are enjoying this, you know. This guy right here had a huge part of it because this was only going to be an audio thing in the beginning.
Yeah, man, I'm glad you decided to go with video because I don't know, it looks really great and it seems like I mean
pat yourself. It looks really good, man.
Dude, all you did was you asked for a wish list and I gave you a wish list.
You gave me an Amazon wish list.
Put it together.
We'll have to do a tour too because we get so many people. Like I think you should host a tour because a lot of people have asked me like, what does it take? What's the equipment? Maybe we'll do a special episode on that.
Sure.
And you know we'll throw some links up where people can you can build one of these if you wanted to. So, but I can't thank you enough. I feel God brought us back together, and I feel the podcast in general is part of the next big thing that I'm doing because I truly, from the bottom of my heart, want to pay it forward. I want to help people. You know, I want to use my story to inspire others, and then hopefully that just pushes and helps other people. And I just it's even that, man. I've been selfish my whole life. You know what I mean? It was always about money and chasing, and I wanted to be the top this, top that, business owner guy. I don't really care anymore. You know what I mean? Like money's cool, but it's not as cool as it used to be to me.
Sure.
You know? So I just think overall I'm changing as a person, and you're definitely helping me. So I appreciate it.
Love you, buddy.
Hey, we got to have you on again.
Yeah, man.
Just on the other side of this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's going to wrap it up for now. And we got some more great shows coming up. So thanks, buddy.
Thanks for joining Talk My Way Out. Be sure to like, follow, comment, and subscribe. You can also reach out to us on social media at Talk My Way Out. Until next time, remember to pay yourself first and always know your worth.